Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the June 17th, 2025 Board of County Commissioners meeting. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First thing on our meeting minutes or our agenda is the minutes of our last meeting. Gentlemen, do we have any additions or corrections?
I do not. I move to approve the proceedings of the Board of County Commissioners for Montezuma County held on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the proceedings of the Board of Commissioners, Montezuma County, June 10th, 2025. Is there any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Planning has nothing on the agenda today, so get ready for next week because I'm sure they'll pack it on to us next week. Do I have any public comment today?
Once, twice.
Okay. All right. Very good. We'll go by public comment. This is going to be a record-breaking time for this meeting today. Unfinished business. First, we have a statewide recording fee change discussion. This was presented by Ms. Frizzell and Ms. Percell yesterday. And these are all just changes that the state is making for recording. And again, a lot of people think that we, the county, make all of these changes, but a lot of them we do not make. So, Ms. Percell, if you have anything to add to that?
Not really, no. Just it is from current legislation to make a permanent single charge for all recorded documents. That's what we're doing. We also have we're asking for you guys to decide whether you want to do a $1 fee waive on the death certificate. We're going to get you guys some more information on that.
Okay, so I think we can wait on that one, but I guess my question here is, this is a state legislative process. The decision's already been made. Do we have to do anything or just verify this?
I think just for consistency, it'd probably be a good idea to formally adopt the fee schedule with the updated fees, even though it is, issued by the state. For record-keeping purposes, essentially, I would recommend that we, adopt that as our fee schedule, just so we don't have old fees on the books.
Okay.
I would so move we approve the statewide recording fee change as presented by Kim Percell, and I would go as far as to say less than $1 for death certificates.
Second.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to adopt the statewide recording fee changes with the exception of the $1 death certificate fee.
Right.
Any further discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Secondly, we also yesterday discussed in our workshop, we had an ask from the Racetrack Lease that if that person could either assign or figure out a way to make this back to a one-year contract due to circumstances beyond his control. It sounds like we do have a lot of options. After talking to the attorney, we can let it go at the end of the year. We can let him assign it. We can re-advertise it, or we can make further decisions based on any recommendations. So I'm not sure this really takes any action at this point in time today. I think we said that we would give him time to assign it. He said that he would get with Travis and the fairgrounds manager. So I think at this point in time to make a decision would be a little bit premature. Let's give him, I think, a month to see if he can assign it, and that's just my thought.
Yeah, I'd like to work with him any way we can. I mean, if he can't get it assigned, then we'll, amend the contract for 1 year and be done with it.
Okay. Good with that, sir?
That's fine.
Okay. Well, then we're gonna move right on by that, and we will make no decision today. Next up, Travis did meet with Purple Wave. It's a auction which will take care of some of our surplus items. It's a little bit different than public surplus, but other than it's just a different company. They do provide all the services to come down and take all the photos. They do everything. Is all we have to do basically is sign over the titles. This again is a internet, so everybody has the access to it. If you have internet service, then you can go on and bid on anything that the county has. And we do have several items that we had already put up for disposal. I think we have a dump truck, a boom truck that Road and Bridge presented to us in January. We have a couple stripped sheriff's vehicles, and that's what we have for now, and obviously more to come throughout the year. This is an agreement just basically to give Travis the authority to sign it so that he can keep this day-to-day operations moving. Questions?
No.
Okay.
I move to approve Travis Anderson to sign an agreement with Purple Wave Auction to list our surplus vehicles and equipment.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to assign Travis Anderson as our representative to sign the agreement with Purple Wave Auctions for dispersal equipment. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Also yesterday, we discussed our road and bridge fee schedule. This was presented just before Rob Engelhardt retired. Basically, the two increases that he recommended was $1.50 for the dust abatement. I don't think anybody had any issues with that. And $3,000 will be changed to a square footage price. So if it's a small breach, it's going to be obviously a lesser amount, but if it's a lot larger breach, it will be obviously a lot more amount. Looking at price per ton for asphalt, I did some math, and the square footage price will be $12.50 per square foot. Is there any other questions on that?
No.
So that would be, instead of a $3,000 breach there, it would be a per square footage cost, along with the $1.50 increase for the dust abatement. Okay.
Mike. Okay.
I move to approve this road and bridge fee increase for the dust abatement and the road breach for, as far as asphalt goes, as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to accept the road and bridge fee schedule based on the current prices that we have established of $1.50 for dust abatement per lineal foot and $12.50 per square foot for the road breach and asphalt. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving right along, new business. Ms. Frizzell, we have a liquor license application for Maverick Inc.
Hello, hello. My name's Jerri Frizzell. I work for Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder's Office. Today I have a new fermented malt beverage and Wine retailer license application for Maverick Incorporated, which is located at 7255 US Highway 160/491 in Cortez. I have the report from Sheriff Nallen, where he went and did the inspection on the building to make sure that where their liquor license is going to be is coordinated with what their plan says, and it was. And then I also have a list that we have to do for a mile radius to see if anybody opposes for the liquor store to be put in there. And there was only 2 people who didn't want it, which was Love's Travel Center and G. Willikers. And then we had 8 other ones that was for it. There was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that was for it, and 6 was, and 1 doesn't say either way. So we had that done, and they have applied with everything that the state requires. And there's also there is a state law that you have to be so many feet from another liquor store. And so they had to have a map done showing that they are within those limits of being that far away from the other store.
What are those limits?
It's 500 feet.
Yeah.
500 feet. 500 feet from the other store. And here is that. And I don't know for sure how far it is. I don't think I got exactly what it says, but the drawing shows that it's within they're past the 500 feet from being and we try to put it on the thing, but the map's too big to be able to show it, but because.
Yeah, I think that would be the only,
Yeah, I looked at it in my packet.
I couldn't see it.
Do they measure that straight line of sight, or do they go
That's-
travel?
It's a straight line.
Okay. Because I know the cities,
They have their
Because if
own.
it's travel
Yeah.
distance, it's gonna be way more. I
Okay.
think they have to go straight line. Oh, and there's their radius.
5,500 feet.
There's their radius.
Yeah,
So they don't even touch the store. So if you get in the store, you got
yeah.
500.
yeah.
And it was questionable, so that's why they have this done to show that there is enough space. for
Okay.
people.
Yeah, and Commissioners, I looked at this too. There are some circumstances where certain distances are measured. I think it's for schools where you measure the footpath, but this is the right measurement for this kind of spacing.
Okay.
It's that straight line, and it's door to door in a straight line. So this appears to meet the criteria.
Okay.
So I'm not sure on the open date for Maverick. They still have just a couple more little things I think that they have to get done. But they have a good standing with the Secretary of State also for their businesses.
Okay.
But I did add the list here to the people to sign that petition.
Good, sir.
I would so move we approve the fermented malt beverage and wine retailer license application for Maverick Inc., also known, the trade name is Maverick number 763, located at 7255 US Highway 160, 491, Cortez.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept and approve the fermented malt beverage, and wine retailer license application for Maverick number 763, located at 7255 US Highway 160/491. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? You just need this back.
Yeah, is the other one up there? Or G. Williger? Yeah, I sent it in. I thought she said that she put me on for both of them. Okay, I guess this one will wait till next week.
When's it due, Jerry?
It's not due till August, so we have time.
Okay.
I guess I should have double checked, but yeah, I put it in. I'll go check my emails, because she said I was on for both of them, so, okay.
All right. Well, we'll wait till next week on the next one. Moving right along, Mr. Tarnowski, our attorney's report.
Good morning, Commissioners. I guess one update I have is that on that methane rulemaking process, it seems like we got Mel Jarman, our landfill manager, a seat on the steering committee on that coalition that we're participating in. So I think that's a good development. He's going to be participating in the next meeting tomorrow afternoon. I won't be able to participate. Probably I've got a hearing at the same time. But I think that's a good development to get our county's voice there, a seat at the table on that front. Also, in a similar vein, I've participated in an initial meeting with a group of counties on the topic of unfunded mandates, trying to strategize about how to effectively, tackle that issue and hopefully make some changes for how that's currently rolling out and affecting counties. Basically, it seems to be getting, worse and worse on that front. And so there's been a lot of thinking about how to try to change that dynamic. And so what's been discussed so far is similar to that landfill coalition, trying to come up with an approach that's going to be a really broad, bipartisan group of local governments to approach the state legislature and the governor and try to figure out how to do that in an effective manner. So I'll keep the commissioners updated as we get further along in that process. If there's substantive developments or other opportunities for participation for you, if you'd like to participate in those discussions, please let me know. We're also, looks like we'll be opening up a new child welfare case this week. So that's always kind of a spike in my responsibilities when we open those up. One thing I'm trying to finish up this week is we've had those land transfers. The one we're trying to fix from some time ago, I need to wrap up one more document on that front, and then also with that 184 and Road 25 road realignment project. Seems like we've got the preliminary plat just in, I think yesterday. And so Don Haley sent that out to the title company, and then I've got a call with the landowner there just to make sure we're all on the same page and getting that paperwork together. Hopefully that'll be back before you formally here as early as next week. One question I have is basically the question is, do you guys want to do a formal kind of presentation about the WUI code, the Wildland Urban Interface? That's getting real close to being finalized. I think that rulemaking is July 1st. Basically, it's envisioned that counties are going to be implementing the the enforcement and the sort of processing of those requirements for new construction in the wildland urban interface. And there, at least in the draft now, there's an option for you to petition the state to do that work, basically, because there's not any funding associated with it, to my knowledge. And talking with our departments here, Jim Spratlin and Don Haley mostly, one of the difficulties for our county is we don't do any building code process within the county now. So Mr. Spratlin mentioned that he thinks probably 2 full-time employees would be needed to do this kind of work, which would be a substantial cost to the county. We had discussed maybe bringing someone in the workshop who's been more involved in this process to kind of talk about that with us and what those draft rules right now look like, but they are going to be finalized July 1st. So we're really getting close to when this is going to be enacted. And I think I just mentioned it, but the staff's recommendation is to not try to develop the county-wide rules and try to let the state take that over. But we could have a longer discussion about that, essentially, like in a workshop, kind of an educational session is what Jim Spratlin and I had discussed. Are you guys interested in doing that?
Yes and no.
Well, so here's the deal. Obviously, you guys have been hearing me talk about this for over a year now, because obviously when the state enacted this, it's going to really affect all of the newer homes and anything that's over 50% addition or change of a current home, which Montezuma County mostly sits in a WUI, doesn't matter where you're at. So yes, I think to answer your question, I would let, I've been very vocal about, we don't have any code enforcement down here for that. We don't have the funding for that, and let the state take it on. But here's my biggest fear is they're going to try to push it onto the local fire departments, which the local fire departments have already said they do not have the capacity to do that, and neither does the DFPC. So we have 9 months after they adopt in July. It was initially supposed to be 3 months, but now they've changed that to 9 months to give people more time to think about what and how they're going to implement it. But I think it's a state code. Let them deal with it, just like they do with the electrical, the plumbing through DORA. I mean, they're going to have to figure this out. They keep pushing these down.
Yeah. I have no sympathy for them. Sorry.
Some of so Commissioner Lindsay and I will tell you that the fire triangle, it takes 3 things to burn, right? You have to have fuel, you have to have heat, and you have to have O2. You remove any one of those and the fire is going to go out. So the easiest thing for us to do is to educate people on just mitigation around your house. You can mitigate it, and you don't have to do all of these hardening efforts. They keep saying that they're going to prove that you can harden a house, and as a builder, I can tell you, you can't harden a house for no cost. There is a significant cost to hardening of what they're asking for. So I believe in mitigation. I think it's absolutely critical. I believe in 2 means of egress. I believe that's critical. But those are a lot of things that people can do on their own with very little cost, and most of the work they can do on their own.
Yeah.
But that's fallen on deaf ears. Or leave it to each jurisdiction, but this is now going to be a statewide code. So I would say let the state come down and do the training, and then we'll see what the fire departments are going to do, because the 5 fire departments that we have, I mean, I don't know what their recommendations will or will not be, but they don't have any staff to add it.
No, they don't.
Commissioner?
I don't think, it doesn't matter what you do, it's people are gonna still build all over the place, and it's just like you said, if they don't mitigate what's around their house, I don't care what you do to it. Unless you build the damn thing out of concrete, it's gonna burn down.
I've seen concrete burn.
So, you know, it's,
I think we'll let the state handle the information for education. But it's
Okay.
just another, it's another code, another legislative change, and another implication to the entire state of Colorado. And again, trust me, living in a fire world, mitigation is the best way to stop it. Take away one of those elements and you will stop the fire. And fuel is the easiest thing to mitigate.
Cut the weeds, get the limbs up off the ground and. So those-
And the fact of the matter is, all of this was being done to enhance or entice the insurance companies to come back into Colorado, because they're leaving Colorado. And again, like I've said, they're not leaving it just because of wildfire, although wildfire plays a critical role, but it's the hail damage in the Front Range.
And they've been getting it the last
And they
week or two.
get pounded, and they work on an ROI, and if they have no ROI, they don't have to stay in any state they don't want to. So I understand the methodology behind what they're trying to do, but if you're gonna harden your roof, we're all gonna have,
metal roofs.
well, metal roofs can still be damaged depending on the size of hail, and we do have a lot of metal roofs around here, but.
My neighbor up on my private land that's up on the mountain, just came from Denver. And I talked to him the other evening, and for the last month, he's been re-roofing his house and his sheds and fixing the windows in his cars because of hail. It literally destroyed his roof on his house and stuff. And he's had to rebuild the whole thing, just in the last month.
Yeah, so, anyway, I'll stop there. You guys all know what they're trying to do, but the insurance companies are not gonna guarantee anything,
Yeah.
period. Because they have to make a profit, or they're not in business. So, to answer your question, I think let's leave it up to the state. So invite them down, do what they gotta do, and, because I've told them, I'm like, how are you guys gonna enforce it down here? How are you gonna even implement it? Not enforce it, just
Right.
implement it. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, how are you gonna implement it? Okay, very good. What
All
else,
right.
Stephen? Sorry.
That was really my last
Went down a rabbit hole there.
update, yeah. Yep, yeah, that was what I had for this week.
Travis.
Thanks.
Gentlemen, it was a busy week, but nothing spectacular to report. The IGA with Dolores County, I believe, is enacted, so our public health is assisting them until he can find a replacement. Was assigned to the Gaming Impact Committee through DOLA. It took over Chuck Stevens's position. Gives us a local voice in gaming impact funds due to our local casino. Spent a lot of time with our new road and bridge superintendent and staff, making introductions, expectations. He was here last week. He'll be back Wednesday. He had some appointments he had to address in Colorado Springs. So his name is Curtis Logsden. We got his phone yesterday, so we'll be disseminating that out. Then the last thing, based on the KRW report, we met with the sheriff and his staff for about an hour last week, hour and a half roughly. Good conversation, other than the topic of contracts come up, and I'd sent out requests to Dolores Schools and the sheriff about next year's 25-26 school year contract, and the discussion was no contract would be implemented. So just for financial and revenue purposes, figured that you guys might want to know that.
And thank you for that, Travis. I was the first commissioner to have that discussion. I don't know what the rotation of is, Commissioner Lindsay or Commissioner Copenhaver, but, you know, we had talked about that in the past, and right now the contract is with the Dolores for the 2 FTEs. So
Yeah.
that'll probably come up in the next conversation that you guys have with them, because we're rotating. And then we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Okay. That all you have? All right. Ms. Percell, do you have anything? All right, Commissioner Copenhaver.
This past week, I didn't make it to the Mancus meeting this last week, but spent a lot of times at the rodeo. Between the slack, started at 9 o'clock on Thursday and got over at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then the rodeo started at 7 o'clock that night, and veterinarian has to be on the grounds for them to start that rodeo, and I have to stay there the whole time till it's over and sign out. So it took up quite a bit of my time this last week. I do have a Southwest meeting tomorrow and Thursday. Well, actually, we're going to get it over in one day, I think, tomorrow, so the way they've got it planned. But that's about all I've got going on. There is an increase in most of the water allocation out north. We've actually, from those rains and stuff, it has increased the allocation to some of the farmers and stuff, so it's actually been good that way. The river's running way better than anybody expected it to for this long. Honestly, especially the Mancus, normally figured we were gonna be, all the upper priorities would be cut off by the 1st of June. It's still running at 62 priority, which is even the lake at Jackson can actually catch some water still at that priority. So it's held up amazingly well for what everybody was expecting.
Through the
And
middle of
the
June.
Dolores has been doing basically the same thing. It's run a lot more water than what we expected it to. So it's actually been good for the whole community, and everybody should get a little bit better allocation of water from it. So that's good for the whole community, and especially out north, because their allocation was pretty short. They had really cut back on what acres they were going to irrigate, and this should extend their irrigation some. So should help out a bunch.
Okay, Commissioner Lindsay.
Yes, I also didn't make the city council meeting last week. They're having a special workshop tonight about mushrooms. I don't know any way other to put it, but if you'd like to have some input, I'm sure that'd be welcome at city councils tonight. I attended a TPR meeting over in Durango, and this CDOT, Colorado Department of Transportation, is really short of funds this year, so they're pushing a lot of projects down the road. What really stood out to me was their funding was still in there for the trails, pathways to Mesa Verde. It's still intact, pushed down the road a little bit, but it's still there. Other than that, a little bit of stuff. Be cautious out there. There's a lot of farm equipment moving around this time of year, a lot of hay cutting going on, a lot of baling, and so be careful on our roads and highways. And also, we're starting to see red flag warnings pop up here and there, and this afternoon is supposed to be hot, dry, and windy, so be careful with fire out there. And that's about all I have.
All right, very good. Well, thank you for attending that meeting for me, the TPR. I was at a statewide fire commission meeting with the DFPC. We did approve 5 bylaw changes, which were pretty insignificant, mostly just language cleanup to meet current statute, and issues that we're dealing with that. However, I did fight, we had 2 other recommendations for statewide training that do go to the legislature for approval, for funding, but right in the beginning of our meeting, the legislative update was the state funding is still and is going to be an ongoing challenge because, like I said a couple weeks ago, the state demographer said, you thought this year was bad, wait until next year because it's going to even be worse. The 1.2 billion is going to grow, and that's significant. So along with the coalition that we're working with now on Regulation 31, I think CCI did a great job last year on fighting anything that had a fiscal note. So with that, one of the recommendations the DFPC did vote to move forward, and I told them, I said it's CCI, since I represent all of the western counties in the state of Colorado, I said there is no way, there is not a snowball's chance in hell that this will ever get accepted by the legislature, and CCI will fight it because they want 14 new FTEs, an increase of $200,000 to an operating budget, 11 new vehicles, adjunct instructors, to a 1-year first-time cost of over $3 million and a 2-year ongoing cost of $2.2 million. And again, I understand wildfire, I understand fire, but I said CCI is going to fight this adamantly because there's a fiscal note attached to it. There's no way. And they're like, we understand that, but we still need to put it in front of them because they asked for recommendations, so that's what they'll do. Just so that you guys understand that I told them we better figure out a different funding source or how to reallocate resources. Because Cliff Simpson told us, when we were here the other night, they're accepting this summer their second Black Hawk helicopter for the state, which I get it, I understand that, and it's a good resource, but those things are expensive and they cost a lot of money to operate. Anyway, that was a long one-day meeting in Vail, and I spent a lot of time driving Wednesday and Friday, or Thursday night actually.
Yeah.
More to come on that. I do want to, I did, I goofed up and I actually looked at Facebook, which is bizarre. I asked myself, why did you do that? Because all I do is look at it and get frustrated. And specifically, I'm going to call this guy out. And his name is Sean Pond. He's now a commissioner in Montrose County. I had a long conversation with one of their other commissioners up there. But we in Montezuma County support the NCA. And there's a reason why we're doing that. Commissioner Copenhaver has been part of these conversations for 15 years. A lot of communication, cooperation, coordination, all the C words that everybody likes to use for the protection of our water in this community. And that's the specific reason. We also support all of the agricultural, everything that's in there, and it remains in there along with mining. There's a valid and existing right in there, and if people would read the bill and understand what's in there, they would understand why we have moved this forward to support this bill. So we have signed letters of support. All three of us have signed it, and in the past. And people do a little bit of homework and really see what you're talking about, and don't just go off spouting. But I'm going to stop there for a minute. Anyway, do your own homework, I guess, is my point, and make sure that you have the proper knowledge before you just start vocalizing an opinion. But you do have that right. After that, I just said, I'm taking the weekend off, and I went and had a great Father's Day, and I went to the mountains and enjoyed it. And we had our workshop yesterday, obviously covered everything that we've already dealt with today to make decisions on. And that is all that I have.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn this June 17th, 2025 meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.